Welcome to the podcast number 2, where we're interviewing one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, Kristi Wry. Kristi Wry is the founder of her own real estate title team, where she helps out thousands of realtors all across California, where she helps them, do their title stuff. And she's one of the most successful people I've ever met. So we're very lucky to have her here today, getting to interview her, talking to her about how she does it, what she does, her daily routine, what made her so successful, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself. So Kristi Wry, thank you so much for coming here to Property Cousin HQ.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, Dusty. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So Kristi, first I want to start off by you telling the guests and the listeners what you do. Who is Kristi Wry?
Well, I'm a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, an auntie, a friend, and a title rep extraordinaire.
Title rep extraordinaire. You hear that, everyone? She's so humble too. I love it. Now everyone has been wondering how you are who you are. Like, what made you get into this business?
It was sheer luck. I was working at a credit union doing reconciliation, so I was working with numbers, and my coworker got a job at Ticor Title, and all I know is that it was like $300 more a month salary. So I said, if they're hiring, let me know. She called me a week later and said, they're hiring, they need more accountants, so come on over. So that's how I started in title, actually, by doing accounting.
Really? That's pretty interesting. What were you doing before that? You were doing something at the credit union?
Yeah, I was working at the credit union doing reconciliations.
Does that have anything to do with title?
No.
No. So it's a completely different business for you, something you had not planned to do.
Fell into it, 100%.
So was this part of your plan when you were a kid? Were you thinking, I want to grow up to be a title rep or anything like that?
No, I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
I can see it. I can see you doing that.
I did. I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Okay. And then do you use any of those cowboy cheerleader skills in your title reps work now?
Oh, I dance around hot files all the time.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, that's definitely something you probably do. Okay. Now, when you were choosing this business, I know it just happened randomly. You weren't expecting to do it. So there has to be something that made you stick around to want to do it for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, I fell into it, and then it just became my strong work ethic. It became a job that I just fulfilled the job. And then next thing I know, I start moving up in the company, get promotion after promotion. Before I know it, I'm running my own title department and working on the files, learning the legal aspects. And once you start learning a niche like this, this is a trade. It's not something you go to school for. It's on the job training. So it's actually a trade. Once you start learning a trade, you don't go and start all over somewhere else. So title became my career just by default.
It became your life.
It became my life. Yeah, it really is. It has become more. It is so much of me. It's crazy.
So you would say that all the knowledge that you have with you has made you want to be doing it for a while, right? Just knowing everything about it, learning so much that you've learned over the years, and just who you are.
It's you sharpen your skills, you sharpen your blade, you get the experience behind you, and now that's your forte. It's like becoming a good realtor, becoming an exceptional realtor. Why would you stop and do anything else?
Yeah.
So if you find something you're good at, which I found something, I'm really good at it.
Very good at it.
Thank you. And I enjoy it. I mean, there's so many different facets to it. There's a little bit of law, which I could see in myself. My mother used to always tell me, Christina Lee, you should become an attorney because you are so good at arguing and getting your point across. and I just enjoy all of it. I enjoy figuring out title problems. I enjoy helping sellers sell their transactions, their properties, so that they can move on to the next chapter in their life. And a lot of people accidentally, homeowners, they make errors on their chain of title unknowingly by adding people on or taking people off, borrowing money from people and never getting the property released from that lien when it's paid off. And they don't realize how that can prohibit them from selling. I love helping sellers get their title cleared so that they can move on. And my agents get to close and get their commission, and then I get paid because I'm commission only.
That's awesome.
It's rewarding. That's the best way to say it. My job is really rewarding.
So it sounds like you love everything about what you do, and right?
Yeah.
But there has to be one thing that's your favorite. What's the most best thing about being who you are and doing what you do?
When I pull strings and I make something happen, and then the client will say to me, Kristi Wry, only you could have gotten this through. Because I will take a transaction that someone says it's impossible, we're not going to be able to get this closed without court intervention, and I will figure out another way to get it done so that we can get our commission and everyone's happy at the end of the day. And that just those triumphs, it's so rewarding to me. Like, I've got a transaction right now where the state of California is selling the property, and there's not a chain of title to it. We have to go back to the 50s. And these owners, they're not even owners, they're renters. They've been renting the property for 15, 20 years from the state of California. Never have heard of this. And they want to buy the property. And no title company will touch it. So I called the department that handles the state of California's random properties that they own.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to work with you. I'm somewhat familiar with this, and I want to close this transaction because it'll be just another success story.
No success story. That's something that you haven't done before, right?
Exactly.
So there's always something that you haven't even figured out, something new that's coming to you all the time, right?
Yes.
Then how do you stay motivated to keep wanting to do it if it's just so many different changes and hurdles and things that you just never experienced?
Because that's the fun.
That's
Overcoming these hurdles. It's like being a basketball player or an athlete. When you win, what do you want to do? You want to win again.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Every triumph is a win.
And you win a lot.
I
right?
do win a lot. But
So
I work hard for it. I mean, I work really hard for it.
You work a
roll
lot.
up my sleeves. I work a lot.
So you have all this stuff going on and you work really hard, like you said. So I imagine that you're working all day, right?
Yes.
Morning to night?
Yes.
What does your typical day look like?
I start at 6:30. I get on my emails because I have to send out emails to agents early in the morning. Then I get ready for work. Then I go to my sales meetings, hit my offices, in between take calls, read emails. Then in the afternoon, if I'm not on appointments, prospecting, I'm working on my files. And if I am on appointments, then it pushes me working on my files into the evening. And then I start it all over again the next morning.
So basically your morning is getting ready, handling stuff from the night before, stuff that came in throughout the night. Then you go on and just be in front of people, getting your face out there, showing people who you are, reminding them, right?
Yes.
And
being seen.
B2B, B2C?
Being seen.
Being seen, yeah. Okay, so that's really where you're getting like most of your business, right? Being seen in front of the people.
Yes.
And so with that, what makes you like, what do you do when you go to these offices that makes you so successful to get people to want to work with you?
Oh man, there's not just one thing. I mean, I talk to agents about the pitfalls, things that they need to be aware of, things that they may not know about in terms of advising their clients, the different propositions. I guess it's just, I bring value. I bring education. That's one of my fortes is bringing a lot of education to my agents so that they're better agents. I mean, there's so much training out there that agents can attend, but when it comes to closing a transaction, there's really no training for realtors on the pitfalls of closing a transaction. What do you do about this old lien? What do you do about this judgment? What are some of the tricks of the trade? And that's what I educate my agents on, how they can be better when they take a listing and they get that prelim and they understand the content and how to get the issues resolved. They're that much better of agents than the average agent out there.
Yeah. So
knowledge is power.
And sharing that knowledge is what gets people to want to trust you and work with you, and just adding all that value that you're giving, right?
And being a resource.
Got it.
So I always tell my agents, if there's something that you're not sure of, call me because you'd be surprised how resourceful I am. And
do you get a lot of calls a day?
Oh yeah.
How many would you say that people call you for help on a typical day?
Oh man, it ranges. It could be 30 calls. It could be 75 calls. It could be text messages, because now it's not everyone picks up the phone and calls now.
Yeah.
A lot of text messages, a lot of instant messaging. I get hit up through LinkedIn. So and then the emails, of course, the emails. That's a full-time job, just keeping up
Just
on.
managing all that.
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine how stressful that could be having all that come in. But even though you're providing all this knowledge, everything about that, would you say that there's something about you though, something that in your brain that makes you so successful?
I have a can-do attitude,
Can
and I'm really positive. I'm always ready,
Happy.
willing, and able, and
So you're a people person.
I'm a people person.
I can see that.
People say that I walk into a room and it lights up.
I don't know if this is the right word. Would you say it's je ne sais quoi?
I love that word. Yes.
Is it? Is that the right word to use for it?
Works for me. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
pretty.
Kristi Wry's got an enormous amount of je ne sais quoi. Let's say that. It's what gets you a lot of business. But so you said that you're busy. You have texts coming, calls, emails all day long, and I'm assuming you have to have a big team or a team to help you with all this, right?
100%. I have the most amazing team. There's 5 of us, and each of us have specific jobs, but then we all support each other and help with the emails that come in, instant messaging, because my team is on my Facebook, so they are there to support me and pick up a lot of the demand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a lot of support.
But you didn't always have a team, right?
No.
How did you first start off getting people hired onto your team? How did you choose the first people? How do you hire anyone?
Well, I've gone through, of course, the norm, like Craigslist. There's a title company website you can go to look for title people that are looking for jobs. I've reached out to friends and family, colleagues. I'll ask colleagues that I know, love, and trust. Hey, do you know of anyone? I mentioned Craigslist, right?
Yeah.
Been verified. How many times have I said Are you guys counting my ums? I'm really trying to get better.
I believe it's 17 is what I've been keeping track of.
17.
I'm just kidding.
You.
It was like 20. It was a joke. I don't know.
I know I need to be better about
I didn't
that.
notice any of them.
Really?
But now I'm going to notice.
I'm not going to say them anymore now.
Okay, good. But so you were saying been verified. So when you those are how you bring the people in to interview. But what do you look for in someone to join to your team?
Number 1, good attitude.
Good attitude.
Can-do attitude, because I've had people work for me that had the skill set, but didn't have the work ethics or the positive attitude. And I can take someone, as long as they have a positive attitude and strong work ethic, I can teach them the rest. But you can't change a bad attitude.
No.
So number 1, attitude is everything.
And you
100%.
Yeah.
Attitude is everything. So I look for a positive attitude and a can-do attitude. Then of course I look for people that have good communication skills. But again, that can be taught. So I'm not afraid to hire someone that's totally green, but if they have the right attitude, that to me is more important than anything.
Yeah, I see.
I always tell everyone, with the right team, you can expect to be granted with a smile. And how can I help?
I don't think I've ever not seen you smiling when you're coming into your room.
Well, especially when I see you, I can't help it.
I would agree with that. I usually have that effect on people.
Well, you are Dusty Mulhearn now, aren't you?
That's right.
What is that word again? Je sais quoi?
Je ne sais quoi?
Je ne sais quoi.
You have to say the je ne sais quoi.
That's Dusty
I don't even
Mulhearn.
know what that word means, but I feel like that's the right word and I used it properly.
I love that word. Yeah.
Me too.
Perfect.
I invented it.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay, I didn't. But okay, so my final question is, before we open it up to Q&A to the audience, what would you say that you would want to just, one thing that you could tell the listeners, something that they would help them in their business, something that they could grow, someone just starting out, wanting to be successful in any industry?
Show up. Be seen. Nothing happens if you're not there. Is that a double negative? Nothing will happen if you don't show up.
Just being there.
The number 1 thing is just showing up first and foremost. You know, I remember when I first, so I didn't mention this, but I used to be a title officer at Orange Coast. That's one of the things that separates me from my wonderful competition. There's a lot of great title reps out there. I have wonderful competition, but none of them can say that they used to be a title officer and ran a very busy and successful title unit. So when I shut that title unit down, my management was torn. Like, do we let her go? Or what happens if we let her go? What's the next thing for Kristi Wry? And I'm so glad I took that leap of faith. So when I became a sales rep, shut down my title unit, my manager at the time, I remember she said to me, because I would ask her questions, a lot of questions. Finally one day she said, honey, you got this. 80% of it is just showing up. But if you show up and you be yourself, you will be a success.
Showing up.
Showing up and be yourself. Come from a position of service. You know, so I always start with, how can I help you? Because when you help other people, and I know this sounds so cliche, but it is so true. If you help other people, it will come back to you tenfold. So I come from a position of service. And so she said to me, Kristi Wry, you could stand out on a corner and say to everyone that drives by you, do you need title insurance? Do you need title insurance? Do you need any type of insurance? She said, eventually someone will say yes. And you have no skill set. You're just standing on a corner, and it could be for anything.
Just being there.
Just being there. And that resonated with me. So I need to go where the people are that need my services. So I show up. I have a very strong work ethic.
Yeah.
I'm out of the door. If I'm not out of my house by 8, 9 at the latest, I feel like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And if I go home before 7 p.m., like walk in my door at home, I feel like, why am I home so early? I need to be working.
Yeah.
The last tip I would leave with you guys is always ask for one more stop, make one more stop, ask for one more title order, ask one more person, can I help you with something? And so my boss would tell me, she says, honey, when you think about calling it a day and closing up shop, hit one more office.
One more.
And it works. So knock one more door, make one more call, reach out to one more past client, send one more email, write one more handwritten note.
Do that every day. That's 365 more people.
See?
Wow.
That's my advice.
That's great advice. Well, thank you so much, Kristi. We're going to open up the questions to the audience now. See if anyone has any questions for us. So I'm going to pass the mic down.
Hi, Kristi.
Hi.
So I know that being out in the field and doing everything that you do on a daily basis, you still have a husband and you still have children. So I always wondered, because I was able to, like it was a blessing, but I was able to do a lot of it without having, how many children do you have?
3.
3 and a husband.
Mm-hmm. So 4 really.
Right. So I'm just wondering how you were able to balance that out. I know that's always a big...
Yeah. No, Cindy, that's a great question, because that's actually why I shut down my title unit, because I had two babies under the age of 3, and I never saw them. And it was eye-opening to me, because I was when you're a title officer, you don't leave until the last file is written up and submitted for recording. So if somebody called me at 5 o'clock and set up 10 recordings, I already knew I'm not leaving for the night, because you can't leave. The sale must occur. And so that was fine for a while, until I had my second, which is my wonderful Austin. And I barely remember the first 2 years of his life. And that was not okay with me, because I worked so many hours, which is where I got my work ethics. And it just so happened, timing is everything. A rep at our company left and went to a competitor. So this vacancy appeared, and they thought of me. The sales manager thought of me to take that position and offered it to me, and I accepted.
So I'm thinking now, with that position, you were able to be home earlier?
I was able to drop my kids off at daycare. I was able to pick them up from daycare. I was able to drive them to school, pick them up from school. I was able to take them to practice. I was able to go to evening games that I was never allowed to. I mean, the only thing I could see was, games on weekends. So if they had a 5 o'clock soccer game on a Wednesday night, I'd have to miss it. So no, I didn't miss any games or doctor's appointments or things like that anymore. And they didn't have to go to daycare. I was able to put them in school or at the school, the preschool at, so that they could be at school and they'll transition easily. They didn't have to go to someone's home where I dropped them off. It was a no-brainer. But finding that balance is hard, Cindy, as you and I both know.
Hi, Kristi. First of all, thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to get a sense of what are your biggest challenges throughout the day or just throughout your career, and how do you address those or overcome those challenges?
I think my biggest challenge is trying to do. I'm a control freak, so I think one of my biggest challenges is delegating. I should delegate probably more than I do. And also trying to find that balance between appointments, trainings, office meetings, and working on files. Because it's a lot to juggle, a lot of spinning plates in the, around me. And I'd like to think that I have them all, spinning perfectly in unison, but there's times when this business throws a wrench in your day. I mean, next thing you know, there's a walk down. That wasn't planned, and it's an emergency. Or an agent needs something delivered clear across town, maybe to another county, and it's an emergency. So handling those sudden game changers, but still at the end of the day, taking care of everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real. It's not fake news. It's real news. Title news.
That's awesome. And so we have another question coming in now.
Hi, Kristi.
Hi.
Okay, so my question to you is, I'm a new entrepreneur. I have a hard time turning it off throughout the day,
Right.
mentally, just coming down from it all. I don't know how to turn up. What do you do to turn your mind off from work and just kind of be in the moment with your kids or your family? Or
So I'm really bad about that too. I'm not gonna lie. With my kids getting older now, Gabby, I'm valuing my time with them way more now than ever, because you see it slipping away. You're young, so you have time, but when it's just you, before you have kids, you've got nothing but time on your hand. That's how you feel. And you have kids, and then you realize how your time now is them. But you still have to be the title person, the entrepreneur, finding that balance. And you can get caught up in it. But the thing you have to remember is that you never get that time back.
Right.
And I'm sure you hear that all the time. And you will hear that when you become a mom. Make sure you spend time with your babies. You will never get this time back. There's no getting it back. Cindy, how many times have you heard that as a mom? And then you think, yeah, but you're not in my shoes, and you don't realize I've still got to put food on the table. But it is a reality. So now, while I still have my kids around and they still want to be around, I enjoy them. So when I catch myself working at night, I will just all of a sudden shut my laptop and I will push it back, and I will turn to my son and say, start over. Because I realize I'm not there. You have to make time for yourself. Otherwise you could burn out. You don't want to burn out. So vacation, I go on a lot of date weekends with my honey.
Good. That's good.
We enjoy each other's company a lot, and so we travel well together. So we do a lot of little weekend getaways, just the two of us. Usually because the kids are doing their own thing. So we're like, well, let's go San Diego. Let's go see a concert. So I am starting now to do more for me. But Monday through Thursday, I have to say, I put a lot into work, and I try Friday, Saturday, Sundays for me, the family.
When you're doing your thing on those Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, are there times that you step away from maybe a family party or dinner or something to answer some work calls still?
Yes, I do. If my phone, okay, I know I'm contradicting myself, but if my phone rings on the weekend, you guys need me. That's how I look at it. If my phone rings over the weekend, this call is coming in because
It's important.
it's important. It is important. If I cannot answer, I will text, say I'm at an event, is this urgent? Because I will step out. And half the times they'll reply back, no, Kristi, if you could just get this information for me on Monday. Or, no, it is really important. I'm sitting with clients. Oh, then I have to walk out to be there for you guys.
That's awesome.
But it's okay to ask.
Right.
Is it urgent?
Right.
It's okay to ask.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Thank you, Kristi.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Kristi, for being our second guest on our podcast here at Property Cousin HQ. So this video is going to be available on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as a podcast that we're going to be announcing soon. We don't have a title yet, but stay tuned. We're going to be posting that. So post in the comments below what you think. Any questions that you have for Kristi, any questions about anything that you've learned or something you want to hear the next time we interview an entrepreneur. So thank you so much, Kristi.
Thank you.
This has been the second podcast, and it's been amazing.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.